how do I tell my kids that we can't really hang out with our neighbors anymore due to their son bullying my daughter, and there's been there was a really inappropriate comment, and I'm not sure how to go about this. So I am very thankful I get to talk to you today.
I appreciate it. I hope I can shed some light on it. So what was the inappropriate comment? What happened?
Well, we were all outside hanging out, and my daughter comes running over.
Well, who's we? Who's we?
Oh, I'm sorry. Me and my neighbors, we were all outside. I have 4 kids. She has 2.
Okay.
And my 8-year-old daughter comes running over saying that her son asked her to pull her pants down and show him her butt.
How old is this? How old are these kids?
He's 7.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure on what to do about this.
Did you tell his parents?
His mom was actually over.
What did she say?
And she just said she was sorry and that his sister's been doing that at home, and then she yelled at him to apologize, and that was that. But she hasn't talked to me really since. Mm-hmm. And then with the bullying, we've brought it up, and she just goes, "Oh, they're just they just bicker back and forth because they're like each other."
Tell me about bullying.
Well, he's always telling her how she's a loser, or makes fun of her because she has to wear glasses, or, "Oh, you'll never be a good gymnast." He's actually recently started giving her the middle finger. So it's kind of started to escalate a little bit. And I'm just, we've used some tools that I've heard from your podcast of try to be nice to him, just ignore him. And it seems like nothing's working. Yeah. He does enjoy hanging out with his little sister, so.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's as simple as saying, I, as your mom, my one job is to keep you safe. And it's about sitting down, and this is one of those eye-level conversations because it takes the hierarchy away from a kid-parent dynamic, and it just says, it signals to a kid's nervous system, I'm with you here.
Okay.
Whenever I have a hard conversation, my daughter's little bitty. Whenever I have a conversation with her, I always get eye level with her. My son is now taller than me, so I have to get on a stool when I have a hard conversation with him. But with my daughter, it's a very eye level. And in this case, I would point to her head and I would point to her chest. And I'd say, it's my job to keep you safe.
Okay.
In your mind and in your heart. And at her age, I would say, I am no longer going to allow you to be with somebody that's going to ask you to show you your private parts. I'm not going to allow you to be around somebody who calls you names and is ugly to you.
Okay.
And hold on, let me say, this is kind of like a teaching thing for everybody listening. Here's where this is important. You are taking responsibility from that kid. From your daughter. What we don't want your daughter to walk away from this exchange feeling is like she did something wrong. Okay? And so you're saying, I'm stepping in and I am doing this. Not, well, you told me he did this, so you can't play there anymore. This is you saying, no, I'm not letting this happen to you. And there's a big difference there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I did tell her when she came up to me, I was like, "Thank you so much for telling us you're not in trouble." Mm-hmm. And the weather's been pretty rough here, so thankfully we haven't been able to see them. How do I go about telling my 6-year-old son that he can't play now? Because they're all intermingled together. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing's gonna be tough. To be honest, it's just all gonna be tough. There's not an easy way out.
Oh, no.
For someone who's 6, it's going to be, and by the way, this is going to be a huge pain in the butt for you. Okay?
Yeah.
It'll be as simple and as hard, right? It's kind of like, how do you lose weight? Like diet and exercise, it's simple, but it's impossible, right? So This will be similar to, you'll have to stay in our yard and we're not having anybody over today. But I want to play with some, nope, no one's coming over. Or we're going to the park, just us.
Right. Okay. Because I was going to say another problem is they love to come over, and they kids are kids. They never listen. They don't listen sometimes, so they're always coming over to our house.
But it's as simply as saying, "Hey, like Timmy and Susie, Well, no, not even have to go. It's you tell those kids because they clearly aren't getting any boundaries at home.
Okay.
They get no boundaries, and then a parent yells at them. Right? And so
Right.
what you are going to have to do is impose those boundaries on those kids. So they come just ding-donging on the door at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday. You say, Timmy and Susie are not going to be playing with you guys today. Hope you'll have a great day. Why not? We want to play. Yeah, they're not going to be able to play with you today. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
And it's not your 7-year-old's or your 8-year-old's job. Now, here's like a fine line here because I want to make sure I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. If there is a next door neighbor who's 7 and your daughter's 8,
mm-hmm.
and there's teasing, there's poking at each other, there's some, I don't say making fun of each other, but a little bit of making fun of each other. There is some, I'm not just going to run in and rescue a kid from that.
Right.
I might ask my daughter at home, well, how does it make you feel when he says that? It makes me feel yucky. What do you do when you feel yucky? Right? So I'm going to walk them through, and I'm not going to steal this moment from them, but I'm going to empower them. The moment a kid starts mocking my child's appearance, being you're fat, you have to wear glasses, you're too skinny, you're too flat-chested, the moment a kid comes over and starts swearing or flipping my kid off, and then the mother load, the moment a kid tries to engage in my kid sexually, I'm out. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. And here's the thing. The parent's response tells me everything I need to know, which is they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, they're going to yell, and then they're going to move on like they do with everything else.
Right. And that's where I was like, am I making this like a huge thing or not? Because like, I'm like, this seems very off.
Yes. It's not off for kids to be curious.
Right.
And it's not.
And that's what I was wondering if it was a curiosity thing, but it has escalated a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I don't mind teasing like you said, because kids I feel like they do need to learn how to handle bullies because I still get bullied.
That's right. So do I. Yes, so do I. So that's life. Yes.
Yeah, I want to be able to teach them, especially we homeschool too. So like they don't have like the interaction at school. I mean, we do all this other stuff. So it's like, okay, I want them to get as much experience as they can, but I want them to know that they're safe at home.
Right. That's exactly right. And so it goes back to that. I'm going to keep you safe here.
Exactly. Okay.
And they're also, I'm going to try to say this in a not dorky way, but when I'm coming to bullying, I look for power hierarchies and kids who are trapped. So if a neighborhood kid says something mean to my kid in the same neighborhood, they're not trapped. My kid can leave. Right? My kid can walk away.
Right.
That kid, I can call their parents and they can make their kid go inside. In a schoolyard, a child is trapped. They can't leave. And so they're constantly under this sense of threat. I'm going to hit you after school. You're disgusting. You're gross. I'm telling everybody jokes at your expense. And so there's an emotional cloud that hangs over that exchange. And you can't escape it because you have to go to school and you have to sit in your chair that teacher said you have to sit in. Or you're on that little league team and everyone makes fun of you. Everyone calls you fat. Everyone makes fun of your freckles. They won't stop. It's pervasive, right?
Right.
And so, yes, if your kid can escape, if your kid has an out, then awesome. Let's use those outs. But let's use these as teaching moments to say, it doesn't feel good, does it? No. And then you can choose to not play. You can stay over here. We're going to do this kind of stuff over here. Or we're all going to the park. And by the way, that's going to mean you're not just sitting out in a lawn chair and watching your kids run around the neighborhood, which is how it's supposed to be, by the way.
Yeah.
That means you're going to have to load them up all in the van and you're going to have to go play at a park for a couple days a week this summer.
Okay.
And that's annoying, but it's just going to be a shift. When it comes to curiosity, when it comes to sexuality in kids, man, I just watch that really carefully because 7-year-olds can be insane predators too.
Okay.
And it's just a fine line. And if that 7-year-old had that switch flipped by an older parent, by an older sibling, by an aunt or uncle, by a younger sibling, then man, it just becomes this. That's what they see in the world. And it can be just a fifth grader wanting to see a sixth grader's like bottom, right? There could be that too. You're just not going to do it on my kid,
right?
But what?
That makes sense.
So let's reverse it. Let's pretend you had a little boy and he went and did that to the neighborhood girl. I probably would not include the girl in the conversation, but I would definitely include that girl's parent and you and your son. And we would say this is very inappropriate. We do not ask other kids to see their private parts. And we would probably read the book together. Some parts are not for touching. I don't remember the exact name of it. We'll link to it in the show notes here. But I would have that direct conversation. That didn't happen in this case.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure if they talked to him. They said they did, but I didn't really get like a formal like, hey, I'm so sorry, like at all that. And I still haven't really talked to him, which I get the embarrassing part. I mean, we're all parents just trying to do what's best for our kids. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, but when our kids hurt something, like I went across the street when my dog went sprinting across, it terrified a woman and her child the other day. I went and knocked on the door. Said, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And so that's also part of being an adult.
Very true.
And so absent information, it's not your job to go searching for it. Hey, what did you say to your son? And is my daughter safe? That's their job, is to come knock on your door and say, dude, I just need to follow up. I'm so sorry. Here's what we're doing. Here's what happened. Here's the steps we're taking for that to not happen again. If it does happen again, so absent that information, you've got to go with the information you have. And that is, there's a kid over there that constantly is telling my daughter she's not enough, she's ugly, she's not successful, something's wrong with her physical features. Oh, and by the way, take your pants off. I'm out.
Yeah, that was our thought is, okay, we got to figure this one out, and definitely probably going to cut, not spend time over there anymore. And so this has been so helpful. Thank you.
But, and again, let me say this one more time, and this is more for the audience than it is for you, because I'm confident you got this. When this first conversation happens, I want you to make sure you use the words, my number one job is to keep you safe. And so I am pulling the plug on this, not you. And basically what you're telling this 8-year-old is, I'm taking away your autonomy here. I'm stepping in. But I want to play. It's not fair. Oh my God, Yep, I have one job, and that's to keep you safe. And her nervous system will thank you.
Okay. Yeah, those words are a lot better than how I was trying to word it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just it's a hard thing to know what to say, right? But it's too big of a decision for an 8-year-old little girl to make.
Yeah, especially trying to explain to her how it's not okay to.
Yes, and this is if you haven't already, this is a great opportunity to teach her about bathing suit parts.
Yes, I actually, a couple weeks before that, I heard your podcast about that, and I just talked to her about it, and then this incident happened.
Amazing.
So it was kind of wonderful on that aspect.
That's awesome. Well, and good for you, Mom, because so many parents ignored that conversation, and so good. And it might be good to follow up and say, how did it make you feel when he asked you that?
Right.
And let her align her feelings with being scared and being uncomfortable. And then you have a great teaching moment to say, hey, following your gut was the right thing. I'm so proud of you. And then when this happens again, when she's 18, you might take her out and say, I'm going to tell you about a time I didn't follow my gut. And she's not ready for that conversation yet, but but you're beginning to teach her those things that you may or may not have got when you were a little girl, this is how systems change. This is how family trees change right here.
Right. Trying to think not to think to when she's 18 already.
Hey, man.
It's going to come so fast.
I just looked up and I only got a few years left with my little one, and he's not so little anymore, and I just can't even think about her. I'll start crying. So can I just applaud you for wanting to do the next right thing with your kids, and also for not being over helicopter-y and all of it. You're doing such great work, and I'm grateful that you reached out and that I got to sit with you during this one. This conversation is going to help a whole bunch of parents, especially entering into the summer. I'm really grateful for you.
Awesome. Thank you for your help.
Blessings to you guys. Go get them and call me anytime. I can help, man. And maybe I'm going to reach out to some of you because I've got my own kids and sometimes I don't know what to do.